Hi, Olga. Thank you so much for joining us on the Next Online podcast. We're very excited to have you on as our next guest. Now, before we get into all the things that we're going to talk about across the marketing space, I want to go back to the beginning. You moved to the US 10 years ago, and today you lead global brand strategy at a company with over 500 partners in its ecosystem. Can you walk us through the career journey and what kind of shaped your leadership mindset along the way?
Thank you very much for having me, Karina. Moving to the US 10 years ago was, I would say, the biggest leadership boot camp of my life. And it taught me two universal leadership lessons, resilience and reinvention. I arrived, as you can imagine, knowing no one, with a different cultural background, different communication style, zero safety net. And
Yeah.
I had to build my career, network, reputation from zero. And of course, that experience very much shaped my executive mindset. It taught me to see around the corners, to adapt faster than actually the environment changes,
Yes.
to lead with humanity. Because absolutely, I know that people perform better when they feel understood. Uh, Another aspect to it, what helped, is my background, because I'm an engineer by a degree. And but I love marketing because it's a big people's puzzle, and
Yeah.
this is the combination of two best worlds: analytical and deeply human. I know from my engineering background how to structure chaos, and marketing taught me how to tell stories that actually are appealing to people, and that people want to follow. And moving through countries told me how to lead with empathy, because you don't necessarily know what someone else is going through, right? Beyond the surface. So this combination of three: cross-functional perspective, cross-cultural perspective, and cross-functional as well, structured thinking from the engineering background and angle, as well as 2 decades in marketing and B2B SaaS, is exactly what makes working now with 1,000 of teammates around the globe,
Yeah.
500 partners around the globe, so smooth and natural.
Wow. So your experience definitely kind of shaped you into the, I guess, perfect position to where you're at today. I know we talked a lot about that global leadership that you do right now, and that is amazing. And I can't wait to dive deeper into that. But before we do that, I do want to kind of talk about transformation because that was a big topic of our conversation prior to this. And I know when leading through transformation, it's easy to get caught up in speed. But you've said that keeping the bigger picture in mind is always key. Kind of rhymes. What does that look like in your day-to-day leadership?
Um, Thank you. That's a big topic for everyone, because each of us is going through big or small transformations, both in our personal and professional lives.
For
And
sure.
the this high paced growth environment, of course, rewards not only speed but clarity. The faster organization moves, the more focus it needs, and the more intentional I become when I zoom out.
Yeah.
And that's this focus for me is more of a discipline rather than anything else during the heavy moments of transformation, like in marketing world would be rebrand or positioning pivot.
Yep.
That helps me lead the company through these changes with the clarity and focus. Because at these types of moments, everything like work feels urgent, emotional, highly operational. I led several organizations through this pivotal moments, from renaming, rebranding to messaging pivots, to market shifts, entering new markets. So,
Hmm.
and the pattern is always the same. You have hundreds of decisions to be made: message and design, website enablement. How do you like market narrative, PR? How do you even manage and prioritize all of that? And
Yeah,
when the teams also get lost into all of these aspects. And what helped me in the previous experience is take a pause for a week. We were working with one of my previous organizations. We were working on rebranding, actually, um, bringing different brands and lines of business that belong to the company under a single umbrella. Essentially, at that time, we wanted to move very fast, rebuilding the category narrative, message and visual identity, global GTM motion. I asked the team to pause, and instead of going through, oh, let's write a website copy, or let's come up with the design of this page, or the slides for the pitch deck, I wanted us to zoom out and once again align on the answers to some important questions: why we are doing that, what needs of the market are unmet, and how with this shift we are better positioned in our organization to solve those. Where is the category actually moving? Not just right now, but in 3 or 5 years. What is important for our customers, analysts, partners? What narrative do we want to repeat? And then when we zoomed out, all aligned on this very clear vision and path, it actually helped us speed up with the execution, because everything was very clear for the team and the leadership alike. We we're focused on why we are doing that, understanding that context, and moving fast was now very intentional. And we actually were able to pull out the team from this reactive mode, um, bring them back to this strategic North Star, and then align on the execution. And this setup where we are operating fast but thinking long term actually brought us to a successful launch of the new brand.
that's amazing. And what a good approach, honestly, because I think the number one thing that when I've talked to multiple leaders like yourself, and just like even in my own experience, like I've realized that when you communicate with the team about the goals and kind of take that pause and kind of get out of that reactive mode and just hold on a second, let's talk about why we're doing this. What are the goals? What are we trying to achieve? You're right, the execution is better. It truly is. And I, as a marketing professional myself, I felt that too. So I couldn't agree more with your approach and how you've done that for
Thank you,
multiple
Karina.
reasons. And now I know that execution is where most of transformations tend to break down. So, what are some systems or strategies that you used in the past or currently use to keep execution aligned across global teams, especially high growth or like high change environments?
And that's the environment all of us operate in now, right? With the
Yes.
rise of AI, but it's still not new. There are multiple factors that, when you understand, you need this strategic pivot, be it a shift in customer behavior, or competitive landscape, or even changes in the global economic landscape. These what leads you to the conclusion that the pivot is needed. But then how do we actually tap those opportunities? I'll give you an example now. Like with the AI rising fast, every vendor suddenly has an AI.
Yeah.
And but when we talk to our customers at Creatio, their response, their needs were radically different. They didn't need AI features. They were not interested in AI as features and functions. They were looking to get autonomy and faster decision making from whatever technology exists. And this clarity, what the companies are actually looking for, helped us shape agentic automation narrative and basically open a new category lane instead of competing on general AI as most of the vendors and everybody else on the market do. So we spend time listening to our customers, to our partners, analyzing signals from the market, and that's how we realized the opportunity was much bigger than just the features. Oh, what we've heard on the market was not aligned with the approach that existed on the market. And that's these opportunities for shift come or for pivot, right? Come from this moments of misalignment. And that's where forward thinking organizations need to be ready to tap on those opportunities. But then how do you enable your team? How do you make sure that your team is aligned on putting these changes to life? Um, Three important milestones that I have in mind is the shared narrative, the context. Um, uh, One simple story where we are going that all the team is aware of. Um, uh, Building parallel tracks, narrative, but also enablement and execution of the pivot running at the same time. You don't want to you don't have the luxury of spreading them in time that much. Like my last pivot, we were able to implement it from idea to enablement of the team to update of all the narratives within less than 10 weeks. So
Wow.
that only happens thanks to this parallel tracks, shared context. And also the third part is cadence. We had regular weekly things. We had a very transparent approach to projects and documentations. We had a joint calendar of this changes being put to life. Everyone on the team, on the broader team, was able to answer what we are doing, why we are doing that, and how actually my work impacts the end result. And that's what's really helps the execution become much smoother.
Absolutely. And I love how you broke that down into like three lanes almost. And they kind of all coincide with each other in order to get to that end result. Especially with, like you mentioned, AI now, it's something that everyone's talking about. And it's here to stay for sure. People have to adapt and kind of shift those, but still follow that framework you kind of mentioned. So that they're able to not be left behind. Because I feel like people that aren't really there to continuously like adapt to the shifts and changes in a timely manner, it's really easy to get left behind in that sense.
Very true.
Yeah. And now I want to talk a little bit about how you've worked across multiple continents, cultures, industries. I mean, your move here alone was that, like you said, that first step of leadership yourself. So, what has leading global teams taught you about communication, trust building, and brand alignment across borders?
That's true, Corinne. And well, we all know different regions have different communication styles, work rhythms,
Yeah.
different expectations. One thing that brings people together is trust. And how do we build trust? I want to create clarity across the team to make sure that I I'm communicating what I actually mean. That I make the expectations explicit. I care to give this broader context, not only um, say what to do, right? But explain why we are doing that. And then people know what the need to do when they understand why we're heading where we're headed, what we want to achieve, and then building the relationships with people across borders with the care, genuine respect, and understanding of their local realities, not one size fits all model. And that helps when this trust is built, that helps unite people across languages, cultures, time zones. It makes it not much easier. Um, on another level, um, how do I make the global team effective and efficient? And that's actually the alignment, how they build that alignment across global teams and boardrooms. And also, I define three tracks here. The first is vision, define where we're heading, the global strategy. It's very similar to that question, why, right? What is our strategy and where we're headed? The second track is enablement. Do people have tools they need, assets they need to perform? And then the third track or layer is the execution layer, of course. And that's when these tracks go in parallel, not sequentially. We achieve the best results with like the example of the program that we had, that it's cross borders. It's our Creatio No Good Days events. We just had one in Latam in Mexico.
Wow.
Before that, we had such events in London, the US, Australia, Indonesia, you name it. Such principles, that's exactly what helps us build those experiences for our audience that they remember for months, if not years.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. And now that you talked a little bit about that, I want to understand with the team spread around the world and you guys kind of hosting these events as well and stuff like that. How do you approach hiring and retaining top talent in such a fast pace, almost like this cross cultural environment that you guys have going on?
That's the biggest focus for me, working with people, hiring the best talent and enabling them to succeed in our environment. So to make sure um, that's the great fit for the environment, I rely not only on their experience or hard skills, but their mindset and soft skills, of course, because somebody who is successful in one organization can be a completely not a good fit for another, right?
Yeah.
So when I talk to people, I in addition to hard skills that should fit the role, I'm looking for those who are curious, strive to learn new things, adaptable. You see how everything is changing fast, right? We are
Yes.
working in the fast, not only fast changing environment, but fast growth, growing company, proactive, and who are energized by ambiguity, because we don't know what happens tomorrow, right?
Right.
But we no, I'm looking for people who are curious about that and are passionate about that rather than stressed out by this ambiguity. That's on the hiring side.
Yeah.
But then, how do we retain this top talent that's we were able to find? And here, again, three things or pillars come into play. It's the sense of ownership for people, um, uh, to understand that they're um, uh, doing meaningful work, to let them lead this meaningful work early on. It's the opportunity for grow within the organization, hopefully,
Yeah.
and visibility into what next steps and their growth they could take, how their role could evolve, whether it's horizontal, vertical,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. And the psychological safety, I want them to know that their opinion is valuable. I want them to share their perspective. That's how we actually grow I don't want the team that thinks exactly as I do or that is not open to share their opinion. So experiments marketing is always about experiments. And I want them to know that they are welcome and I want to create that environment where people feel safe. And
Absolutely.
then, of course, there is an operational layer. We all want to the teams to be aligned within the team, cross-functional. I have joined GTM calendar. We have a practice of global growth meeting like, for the broader team of like 100 people that we have to keep everyone
Wow.
in the loop. But that's an important layer
Totally.
that is needed to retain top talent. Um, and it's a different layer than this ownership growth and the psychological safety.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're dealing with a whole other ball game. I mean, like it's a large team. It's also global. You have people all over the place. And the number one thing, like it goes back to what you were saying, is that alignment piece. And that's like kind of like that extra added layer that is very, I'm sure, super, super important when dealing with.
Exactly. Like when we last updated our messaging, for example, our position, we had the unified messaging frameworks or teams in Singapore and
Mhm.
LATAM and Australia, US, our partners were all speaking the same language.
Wow. That's crazy. Wow. That is amazing. That is so great to hear and like to see you kind of explain that too.
Yes, absolutely. We had several enablement sessions for the team to walk them through the shift in the positioning to explain them why we are doing, not only what exactly we are doing, right?
Yeah.
Enable them with the assets that are needed to talk about our value proposition in the same way. And that's definitely helps accelerating the alignment and that at the end deal velocity.
Wow. That is amazing. And it totally makes sense. I mean, the different languages and again, the different ways people are receptive to that information, especially such a big change, different cultures. That's a lot of balancing to do, organization, that operational layer you were talking about, and that's amazing. Like you're able to kind of oversee all of this and kind of help push that value prop to them too.
That's very true. What is even more engaging was when people we had a pitch competition internally, right? And
No.
everyone from the GTN team contributed their pitch as part of that competition. The best won some prizes, and that's a big learning aspect to it as well because
Huge.
watching those recordings, and we openly shared those recordings, of course, you see something that you might not have noticed before, but something that your peer is doing, and you learn from that a lot.
Yeah, and it all goes back to what you said, like the perspective piece. Everyone is bringing their own perspective, new ideas, fresh ideas in a new light. And like you said, you never know what that could spark in an organization. I love that. I like that little competition. That myself.
Well, that's our GTM team, of course. Competition is there, is in their DNA.
Yes, absolutely. And now talking a little bit about GTM, I know that you mentioned how Creatio's platform is no code and AI enabled and designed to kind of streamline workflows and reduce response times. Now, how does your go-to-market strategy stand out in such a competitive space?
Thank you, Karina. Indeed, we have. That's a very competitive space, and we have two aspects that differentiate us. One, strong point of view on the future, especially on the rise of autonomous agents, vertical agents. we definitely are not talking about Creatio as another AI tool. It's not that. We
Yeah.
are building the agentic platform that helps organizations move towards this enterprise autonomy where agents don't just assist doing tasks, but independently navigate workflows, make decisions, coordinate across systems, and do that with the vertical focus. So we went further and are building vertical agents that are specific to industries like financial services, for example, or public sector, manufacturing. And these agents are sector specific. They have specific compliance rules, data models, and they deliver for the company operating in that industry. They deliver the impact immediately, not after months and months of customizations, adjustments, but they're built with the context of the industry to work autonomously on workflows that the industry requires. So that's where we see the industries moving, or the tech is moving, and that's what we deliver to our customers. The second part is this deep relevancy. We don't believe into abstract AI claims because we don't see how they would deliver value to our customers overall. Creatio is 100% committed to our customer success, and we one of our values is genuine care about everybody we work with. So we understand that suggesting some generic AI tools doesn't have much to do with the genuine care because it lacks this deep relevance to the business of our customers, to the goals that they want to achieve. And by building out the autonomous agent, vertically focused agents that are aware of the context of our customers that speak customers' language, we are able to show to demonstrate value quite quickly. And from that, we have everything: efficiency, compliance, time to market, not just AI hype.
Yeah, of course. And that is huge right now because rather than just playing into that hype and all of that, you guys are ahead of the game in that sense in terms of the agentic AI because I've also noticed in the tech sector that is like picking up very fast. And people are using it to not just do the mundane task anymore. It's really leveling the playing field in terms of how it's changing the trajectory of businesses today, which is crazy to see. And honestly, it makes me very excited because I'm like, you could be much more efficient. There's a lot of targets that you're going to be able to hit with these agents coming in instead of being afraid of it.
I agree. I agree, Karina.
And with all this talk about I understand that also marketing is still all about the people. And I want to know, where do you see human led marketing continuing to kind of outperform this automation that we're starting to see with especially agents in customer experience and brand connection?
Uh, you're right, Karina. That's the question that now I hear a lot from the industry, from people around, whether or not AI is going to replace people. Well, my strong point of view is that it's not going to replace people. It's going to augment their potential, and that's something that is conferred by multiple researchers, including the one first part of research by Creatio that identified like 564 experts responded to the survey, and only 11% of them do think that AI can cut their jobs or teams. All the rest see AI as augmentation to that. At the same time, there are things that are better handled by AI and things that are better handled by a human. Like take the enterprise sales process. Of course, nobody builds relationships better than human do, right?
Yeah.
But collecting the data about the account, augmenting data can my AI twin, that's how we call agents at Creatio, can it help with that part and take care of that part, of course. So I would say the areas that remain distantly human are relationships building, trust with customers, partners, influencers. All of that is human to human
Absolutely.
storytelling. Like
Yeah.
AI can write a copy, but text, but humans are those the who create meaning of the stories, as well as positioning. Like AI will not create category for you. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of experience, some intuition, and it's not something that you can outsource to AI.
Yeah. I completely agree with that too. And now, as we kind of wrap up the podcast, my next question for you, and final question actually, is going to be for leaders who know that change is coming, but they're maybe not sure where to begin. So, what's your advice to those future leaders for transformation roles in this upcoming new year, 2026, and just in general and beyond?
Yeah. Uh, Wonderful question, Karina. I ask that myself that question pretty frequently, and now I'm a big believer in into zooming out and asking yourself those questions. What is changing? What isn't changing? What long-term values are we trying to create? Then pick some high leverage moves that you want to make based on the responses rather than trying to address everything at the same time. Basically, act not like a leader you want to be before someone gives you the title. Mentor teams and leaders, I look for people who ask themselves those questions. I look for people who are able to connect the dots before everybody else sees those patterns, communicate early and clearly, and think in systems rather than random acts of marketing in my case, right? Or
Yeah.
just some random steps. And of course, something that we touched before, this somebody who is energized by ambiguity, because this uncertainty is not your enemy. By looking at it right, it's your biggest opportunity for growth. Summarize, my advice would be to zoom out, to see the bigger picture, to communicate the story, and act as if you already belong to your next room, because that's how you get invited into it.
I love that. And what a perfect way to end off this episode, honestly. I'm taking that advice with me, and I know a lot of our listeners will too. So I just wanted to thank you so much again for sharing so many of your insights, your journey with us, and also so much wisdom. Again, thank you so, so much.
Thank you for having me, Karina.